Hello there, and welcome to the I Never Knew podcast, also known as Inc. This show dives into the life experiences of people who have been through it all and have come through the other side stronger, better, and triumphant. Each story is raw, authentic, and, at times, heartbreaking. One thing joins it all together: the fact that the stories can help the listener learn and grow. Hosted by life coach Maureen, she sits down each episode with a new guest who will empower the listener to set out on their self-discovery journey and start to heal. Now you'll be joined by Maureen and her special guest. Please enjoy the show.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of I Never Knew, But My Dog Did podcast. I am Maureen Scanlon, your hostess with the mostess, or life coach Maureen, as most of you know me. I have to tell you, I'm so excited about my guest today. I don't know what it is, but I just feel this like kindred connection with her. She invited me to do her podcast, and God love her, but she only does 15 minutes. And I'm like, I cannot be limited to 15 minutes with this girl. So I have to tell you about her, and she's so impressive. And when I read everything about her, I mean, I was already impressed with her, and now I'm just, I love her. I feel like taking you in and hugging you like you're one of my daughters. I don't know what it is, but I feel so connected. So today, guys, we are going to be talking to Raquel, and I didn't write your last name. What's your last name, Raquel?
Bergia.
Thank you. I couldn't have said that anyway. So Raquel is innovative and entrepreneurial, following her interests in medicine, engineering, and equality of opportunities. Not only is she absolutely gorgeous, you guys, this beautiful woman is so smart and full of knowledge and determination. I mean, wow. So throughout her childhood, she lived in Spain, Poland, and the United States, following her family's dream. She has studied courses in the realm of neuroscience at Harvard University and Duke University for the last 3 years. And she is now completing a Bachelor of Science in BioMedical Engineering and a Bachelor of Science in neuroscience. I mean, whoa. So in 2021, she founded Unwiring Minds, which that name is fantastic. It's an organization that focuses on bringing accessible knowledge about how the brain connects with the rest of the body. There, she unites people from all around the world under the same mission of educating people about the marvels of the brain. And that's unwiringminds.com. And I'll put that in the show notes, guys. So oh my gosh, without further ado, hi, Raquel, my beautiful friend. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me on here today. I'm very happy to be here.
You are so impressive to me. It's your whole demeanor. It's your aura. It's, I know because my husband is an engineer. So yes. This is the interesting thing is I wouldn't think you were an engineer, right? And I'm being so terrible at stereotyping right now. But really, you have such a spiritual air of you and an understanding of emotion and people and what we've been through in our lives. And yet here you are like, I want to know the science behind it. So how do you find that marries together for you?
Absolutely. So my life has had a lot of different parts to it. Like I've had different things that have brought me to where I am today. But actually the way that I started everything was when I was very young. My grandfather, he had Parkinson's disease, and that sparked that interest in neurology and really what is going on inside our minds that causes both neurological disorders, but also the way we are, our personalities. And so my grandfather passed away in 2019, but it really drove me to say, it's a moment to get started and start learning about what is going on inside our minds. And so that's really what sparked my interest. But from there, he wasn't the only one that had Parkinson's disease, I've met other people that had similar diseases as well as Alzheimer's, personality disorders, everything. And it just kept me intrigued, saying, what is that? What is guiding all of these actions? What is guiding our movement? What is guiding the way we speak? Everything. And so that's when I started learning about the brain and started studying. And in 2021, multiple things happened. That was a roller coaster of a year. And not only did COVID, like it was coming to an end at that point for my family, but then two major things happened was COVID, one. But the other one is that my father, he actually left our home and never came back. He left us. And so it was a tremendous impact on me because I was, young. He was a role model for me for many years because I had never felt that like signs of abandonment in any way until that day he left and never came back. And so that was another big major thing that changed my perspective on life because I was very privileged. I was living in Houston, in Texas, and a very privileged life. And I had no idea how privileged I was until this happened, where my father was the main source of economic income. And when he left, my mother, my sister, and I were in the United States alone. No way of earning money, no power. We felt powerless. And it was a very strange feeling after many years of just feeling like getting awards and feeling successful and none of that. And all of that suddenly just like shut off in a moment. And what happened was I loved education. I've loved learning since I was a little kid. Like, you sign me up to any math test, sign me up to everything, because I love it. And so I was at a point where, because of this economic impair, because my father also not only left, but he took everything that he could with him. So we were in the United States with nothing. And what happened is I wanted to make sure that the people that maybe didn't grow up as privileged as I, or were in a situation like mine, could still have access to resources. And so that's where Unwiring Minds started. I actually started working for another company that now closed, but I was working for someone that was another young mind with a beautiful story. And he inspired me to start Unwiring Minds, to start an initiative where we could allow young people, well, honestly, anybody who's interested in learning about the brain and the mind and the way it works. And it inspired me to say, hey, it's the moment to educate. It's the moment to just give resources, accessibility, because the thing is that in 2021, when this all happened, I felt like there was no shoulder to lean on, because I was still so interested in continuing my education, continuing this, continuing that, but I didn't feel like I had the resources at that moment to do everything that I was doing. And so that's when I shifted to grow Unwiring Minds. And it's been my passion. I absolutely love the team that has come out of the family, that has come out of there too, because we have people from everywhere, people from any country that you can come up with, probably from there. And the thing is that it's created this sort of familiarity and comfort. And it's a team that works solely with the same idea of, let's educate the people about the way that our mind and how it works, and not only as a brain, but also how it's connected to every single thing we do. Everything, like whether it is this conversation that we're having now, or the run that I went on this morning, things like that, everything is driven by this such a powerful tool. And that's when I gained that power back. I realized, no, I don't need all of these extra things to be powerful. I have myself. I have a mind that is powerful and that I need to take advantage of. And well, that's how it drove me to be where I am today. And this past year, I've been in Madrid with my family. That's where we're originally from. So we came back after everything that happened. And it's been another wonderful experience that I'm just so grateful for. I'm so happy that I have gotten to even start Unwiring Minds, everything that I've done, because I've met such wonderful people, so much more worth than anything that I had before. Because that privilege, like I said, I was very lucky to have that. But that taught me one part of my life, and now this is teaching me so many other things, and I love it. I'm loving it.
I just love that. And there's so much to unpack in what you said, because what I love is, this diversity of you, this duality of you, which is like, I want to know the science behind, and how is the wiring, and how is our receptors. And then there's this other side of you that's like, oh, dang, I just went through something really traumatic that I came out of nowhere, and I have abandonment issues all of a sudden, and I don't have the whys, and it was trauma. So now it's almost like you were given this gift, like, okay, you're going to understand the science, but we really need you to understand more, which is, you know, the amygdala. How are your emotions connected to those neurons? And so I love all of that, but my heart just absolutely goes out to you, because you just literally going on in life, and the rug gets pulled out from underneath you, and then you're suddenly like, whoa, how do I basically start as an adult, as a young daughter, you know, and a young girl? How do I provide? Like, I didn't think about providing for my family. And what I really love, and to be honest with you, I say this probably with almost every one of my guests, because we've all been in those traumatic, you know, struggles. Once we start doing something that helps others, it's like our healing just completely catapults us to a whole nother level. This podcast, for me, I never would have got to cross paths with Raquel, and what a loss that would have been for me. So that unwiring minds for you too, globally. You're like, how would I meet someone from here and here? And we're all of the same mindset. We're all of the same spirit, of the same purpose. And I love that about you. And you just glow when you talk about it, because I do believe our healing comes from giving to others. And we think, oh, I need to heal myself. No, you don't. You'll be healed by the giving and the meeting and the sharing of others. And I agree with you. I didn't have resources when I was going through my domestic violence and trauma. There were no resources. There wasn't really internet. I mean, my goodness, it was the early 90s. There was nothing for me. It was like, go to the library and read a book. No. So it's because of your generation and you making this so accessible that the new generations behind us are going to be so much better than we were, and so much earlier. As I look at you, and I think, oh my gosh, I was nowhere near where you are at your age. And I think that's super. I think to be a little soapboxy, but every generation gets better because we see the mistakes of the generation before, and then we make our own mistakes. But I think we start learning sooner. So tell me how so my interest, and I get the being a sponge, because anything psychology, I'm like sucking it in. And for me, it was like true crime. For me, it was criminal forensics and forensic psychology. I wanted to know what makes one person go this way and one person go this way, and where's the difference between the right and wrong, and why do some people have empathy and some people do not? So I'm going to pick my little engineer girl brain here and give us some scientific things that you think is really pertinent that a lot of us wouldn't know about the brain.
So I think that the most important thing, I always like to say this to anyone, friends, family, I'm always saying this, we have to take advantage of the tool that the brain is, because the brain has neuroplasticity. And so neuroplasticity is really the ability of people adapting to change. And if it weren't for neuroplasticity, I can tell you it wouldn't be where I am today. Right? And so I always tell people to take advantage of what it is, because the way that we can do that is working through there's different means that we can train our neuroplasticity. So one thing is always being passionate about something and going through with it. So in my case, like I'm passionate, just coincidentally, I'm passionate about the brain. So I go with that. But for someone that's passionate about music, go with music. For someone that's passionate about computers, do that. Whatever it is that makes you feel that sort of joy and excitement to get started on a new project or something of that sort. So one way to train our neuroplasticity is to have that passion that we can lean on and we can work and makes us happy. And then another part is working on ourselves through different means. So it's important to maintain a healthy body, to maintain a healthy mind too. And so it's very important that we balance well-being in terms of like food. And of course, I'm not saying always eat your veg. Like I'm not like that at all. Like I do need my sugars. I do need my candy every once in a while. But what I'm saying is like balance it out. And so make it so that you're taking care of that food that you're eating, making sure it's something that is helping your body eat. Although not everybody likes their greens, like eat them every once in a while because they do help you. And then the other part is fitness. And fitness has more benefits than just physical health. Fitness as a whole is so beneficial. And the way I explain it is like, I'm not talking fitness as a gym either. Like you can go to the gym if that's what you enjoy. And if you enjoy running, then go on a run because that's also beneficial physically. But on the mind level, what it does is it's a break from reality. And that is so important, so important that we take these mental breaks. And sometimes it's hard to find the moment to get a mental break because we lead busy lives, and with everything that's going on, it's just like it's hard to take a stop and say, okay, I need to take a stop from everything that's going on and think about think inside my mind. And so I personally think that there's a lot of possibilities and opportunities for you to think inside your mind when you're exercising and running and for me, I don't run too much. I tend to walk faster than running because I can't run too well, to be honest. But but when I have these moments to myself, it's really just letting me think everything through, whether it is what's worrying me, then I can think about it for a bit and just process, why is it worrying me? Is it worth worrying it about? And how can I help myself and not worry about this in the future? That's one part. The other one is what am I grateful for? There's so many things to be grateful for every day, and we need to be looking at that positive side and really, is this what I want to be like? What is it that I want to be doing every day? What makes me feel that spark of joy? And then, of course, like we can think about worries, we can think about the beautiful thing, and sometimes we can just not think. And what I mean by that is just look at the trees around you or the buildings, the people, and then just look and say, look, it's funny that everybody here is just having different lives. Everybody leads their own thing, and we are just in here together to see what it is that life has to offer. And so sometimes it's important not to think about everything that we're going through and just look around and see what colors are you seeing, what smells are you smelling, what's that noise? Is that an ambulance going around? Is that a car honking? Or is it a bird? There's so many things. Or is it the leaves crunching under your shoes? What are the
1,000,000%. And I'm certified in anxiety and panic attacks. And one of the things we do is that it is a distraction method that we just listen to our senses. I'll tell a client who's had panic attacks, I'll say, okay, grab a pen. I want you to feel it. What does it feel like? What does it look like? Okay, it's blue and it's kind of shiny. And, what does it taste like? Yes, I make you taste a pen, but what it is like, it's that focus factor that if I'm doing this with all of my senses, I can't be distracted by all of the things that were causing my anxiety. I love everything that you just said. So listeners, here's what she's saying. Basically, if you want to exercise your neuroplasticity, keep your brain young and full of life, you need to follow your passion and do things that bring you joy. I always say, if it doesn't feel good, don't do it. There are things in life we are obligated to do. I tell my clients, change your have to a get to. I get to work today. I get to make money that brings me freedom to go travel and do the thing I love. I get to do a podcast today, and I get to meet Raquel. I get to go to the grocery store. I have money and I have the ability to have food that nourishes me. So, changing that gratitude factor. I love that you said that. When you're focused on what you do have, you can't focus on what you don't have. The diet and fitness, and I'm going to say this, I'm an older woman over 50. So I'm a nifty 50, just turned 53 a couple weeks ago. And the body is not keeping up with the mind. I am very young at heart. I'm like your age in my brain, but my body, I have some arthritis and RA and some autoimmune stuff, and I refuse to bend to it. So I have to show you guys something. Listeners, you're going to appreciate this. And I think Raquel, you are too. Because I can't do like hard exercise because, pain. I try to keep moving, which like you said, it can be a form of meditation. I don't care what it is. I tell people, if you are not able to sit and be quiet or listen, I'm neurodiverse, so I cannot sit and do nothing. Right. So mine is walking. Just like you said, I listen to the birds, I look for the bunnies, and that's meditation. You're not only moving, being physical, you're also clearing your mind as an outlet. But you have to see this thing that I bought. I'm going to turn the camera on. Dun, da, da, da.
Yes.
Do you see that? Okay, guys, you know what that is? I'll show you a little. This weird contraption looking, look at this thing. It's tall and it's got handles and all kinds of things. Okay. It's called Yoga Body. And what this is it helps me stretch. It takes the weight off of my joints so I can like stretch. I can do different positions. Now, I'm not that gal that's going to be flipping upside down. I'm going to get there, but it helps inversion with my vertebrae. And they're not paying me to say this. I wish they would. Go ahead and sponsor me, Yoga Body, because I am an advocate. But see how I found an alternative. So there is always a way to find something else. So that thing is the coolest thing ever. Sometimes, and you can just sit in it and read a book if you want to. But I'm sure that's not what they really mean for you. But just the being able to stretch in ways I couldn't if I were on the floor or in a gym, it would just hurt too much because of gravity. So that for me just helps me feel looser, and at least I'm doing something that's movement, and I'm working those muscles. So I love every single tip that you just gave us, because I agree with you 1,000,000%. So with that being said, there's all of those ways of neuroplasticity. Now, how about as we get older? I'm at a stage where I'm in menopause. And so anyone at 45 and over, we start wondering, am I going toward dementia and Alzheimer's because I'm forgetting a lot of stuff? Or is it something else? So tell us about memory or even neurodiversity, how it affects us.
Absolutely. So the thing about memory, the reason we have a lot of memory issues, and this is not even for whether it's older women or young, it can be anyone. The main reason why we lose memory is because we have a lot of distractions going on in our brain. And so just because you might forget what's on the grocery lists, or where you left your phone, where you left your glasses, all these different things that people can forget. Or sometimes we forget people's birthdays by accident. We forget all these things. And it's because the brain can't deal with a million things at the same time. And the thing is, the reality of anybody that's, like you said, over 45 in that age range, is that there's a million things going on in your mind. And so maybe it is work, or maybe it's family, maybe it's the neighbors, whatever it is that's inside your mind. It's kind of taking control, while all the things that you're trying to find are not there. They're in the other box. So there's two boxes. The one that is the one that you're accessing right now, and the box that you're trying to access. And the problem is that if we let the box full of distractions win, then we forget things. We forget the things that we're trying to access. And so really, the forgetfulness that comes in the 40s and 50s isn't a clear indicator of dementia. There's dementia tends to show indicators a little bit later on. Of course, severe memory loss, yes. Like if now you're forgetting names of people that you've known all your life, then that might be more severe indicators. Now, those like memory things that were like, oh, I'm getting old, I can't remember things, like that expression. I've heard so many people say that. It's that age connection is simply because with more age tends to come with more distractions and with more things that are we're trying to like have our attention to when we're trying to get something else at the same time. And so
I have a theory. Tell me if I'm right or wrong, and I apologize for interrupting, but I have a theory, and I just told this to my husband the other day. Okay, so I've been studying. I'm studying coaching my autistic and ADHD clients, and so there's a lot of things that happen with neurodiversity, and memory. the way that we retain information. First of all, we have to have an interest in it first and foremost. If we do not, it does not stick. And both my grandson and myself, and I think my son's the same way. So there's a lot of genetics going on because there's a lot of ADHD in my family. But here's a theory. Tell me, you can laugh me completely off this podcast right now if you want to, but I was told we take in 150,000 pieces of information daily. And our brain does either a deletion or a distortion. So I kind of feel like my brain at my age, like the motherboard is tired, and I might, I wish I could defrag, combine files, but I kind of feel like I can't bring in new information because I feel like I have so much information. Is that like a ridiculous theory, or am I just completely like, is everybody, hey, listeners, are you on? I raise your hand. I know I can't see, but please raise your hand if you feel like your brain is full and you don't know how to clean it out and like throw it in the garbage, some of the stuff in the garbage. There's information I don't need. And my husband calls it MIMS, meaningless information I must share. So tell me what you think about this theory.
Honestly, that theory isn't completely incorrect. It's not completely like crazy for sure. That is true that, well, it has to do with two different things. But the first one is that as we age, our brain tends to be like it gathers less information. What that means is, so a young kid, for example, they can grab language very easily. There's a reason why a 40-year-old struggles more to learn language than a 10-year-old. And that is because the brain is gathering information in a different way at different ages. So that's one part. So maybe learning something is harder as we age. So that's first part. But that second part, the part where you say that it's because it's full, the brain isn't full. Like there's more gaps to fill. We can fit in so much things into our brain. But the thing is that we do have a lot of meaningless information. Like I have so many random facts in my head that I know that I'm never going to have to use in any practical way. They're just, like you said, there's things that we can share, but they're just meaningless. And so the thing is that those facts are there, but they're not how do I say, they're not like hoarding any space. Like they're there, you still have more space to fill. It's like it's not infinite. Our brain isn't like infinite. We have a capability to learn some things, not learn others, but it's not because it's full. It's more because of the aging situation, and also a lack of interest, like you said. For example, I always, like, when I'm studying, because sometimes I don't want to study and I'm just like, I want to go to sleep or I want to go out with my friends, but we have to find that motivator to get things to stick. And so in my case, what I do when I'm stuck studying at night and I really just want to go to sleep, I think, okay, why am I studying this? Why am I supposed to be learning this? Is it because what's motivating me in this moment? And then I'm thinking, well, I want to grade because I want to get a degree that's going to help people. Okay, so that's my little thought process in that moment. And the thing is, of course, there's going to be days where you can't find that motivation, and it's of course going to be harder to get information to stick. But if we find that intent, the why behind learning, whether it's memorizing facts for exam or like learning facts for an exam or anything in general, like why am I remembering my grandmother's birthday? Why? Because I love her and I think that it's important for me to care about the days that she was born. That's one thing. But there's so many different ways we can really just find that motivation to memorize. Because, for example, like I can think of myself when I was younger and studying history, which was definitely not my subject. I was a science and math person, not like social studies was not my thing. But I remember when I was stuck reading my big books and thinking, why am I studying this? And in that moment, I was like, I don't like history. I don't care about the facts. But why am I sitting here? And my why in that moment was, I really do care about what the outcome of this exam is, because I have a goal of going to this college. I have a goal of this thing. I have these goals that I really want to get there. And if I don't sit here and learn this, I'm not working towards that goal. And although it was something I didn't love, eventually I came to love that book of history. I learned a lot about presidents and things that I thought were boring, but my motivation was enough to make me understand the information. And now I can tell you random history facts because I actually learned them from that day. And so it's just that idea. If we find that thing that's like, why am I sitting down and doing this? Or why am I going to do that? Motivation is super important when trying to get things to stick into our long-term memory, even if it's short-term for a quick exam, but like long-term is the goal always. You want to
Yes, and I love that. So for you, it's finding the why. And it's interesting, you are the math and science girl, and that was like my worst thing, and I'm over here. So people say you're left brain, right, or right brained. And do you believe there's really something to that? Because I'm that creative. Like if you want me to do math, forget about it. Science, it doesn't resonate. And I love that your brain, your motivator is the facts. Just give me the facts, man. You're the why, and I'm the just because. I'm like, so for me, the connection that I make with learning something, and listeners, I'm gonna just give you and I don't care what age you are. My husband's 96-year-old father, before he passed away, had all of his faculties. He was so smart. He knew 5 languages. And what he said to me, he took a memory class, and he said, what you do is you repeat it 3 times and you associate it with something. And that is something I have been doing. So I'll go, Raquel. Okay, I met Raquel. Hi, Raquel. Nice to meet you. And in my mind, I'll go, Raquel, Raquel. And then I'll think of a Raquel that I know. And I watch this reality show called Vanderpump Rules. And, she just blew up the whole season, the whole show. But I don't want to relate you to her, but just it would help me to say, okay, the next time I need to do it, I'll be like, oh, Raquel Vanderpump Rules, So that was interesting that his father taught me that. What do you think about the being more right brained or being more left brained, and what does that mean?
Okay, honestly, I think that that's a bit of course, that this isn't my knowledge. Maybe this is completely factual and for it to be right brain, left brain. But the way I've seen it is that it's really a combination of both, because even if you're incredibly creative, okay, that doesn't mean that doesn't mean that one side of your brain is more developed than the other. For example, what could be left brain, right brain is more like, what hand do you write with? What side is stronger? That has to do with the strength of one side or the other. But really your personality in terms of creativity or that problem solving, everything like that, I don't necessarily think it has to do with one side of the brain, because there's people that are creative, super creative, but they're also really analytical and they are very precise in their thinking. And that's where the math comes. That's why they think that like that's related to the math, and the creativity is related to the social studies, to the arts, etc. But really there is an intertwine between the two. And so it's not one side is stronger, that's why my personality is like that. That's the best way I can put it. But what you were saying about finding how it's not necessarily for you finding the why, what I meant by that is to learn something, whether it is creativity, like if you're trying to learn a new skill so that you can implement it in your business, or if it's a new ability, maybe for the yoga that you're going to be doing and things like that. Even that is a learning process, and you have a why as to the reason that you're doing it. Without that why, there's not enough motivation to do the things that we do. And one of those things is learning and sitting down and studying. But another thing is learning and practicing something, the violin, if you play an instrument, or all of those skills. So there is a why behind everything in terms of memory, because the fact that you remember what poses to do on your yoga, that's also memory that you've trained because you have a reason, you enjoy it, or you think it's benefiting your health. And that's where it sort of comes in. But there's other, like, it's not just for the studying part, because that's the way I do it, but of course it's different for everybody. And the other thing I was going to say, the advice that your husband's father was suggesting, that's all incredible things to do when you're working on memory. But you have to have a reason as to why to sit down and work on your memory. Without the reason, like, you want to remember my name.
Yeah.
That's your why. Otherwise, if you didn't care, you'd just be like, hi.
Hi, Rachel.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So you have motivation behind memorizing it and doing a memorizing exercise, like the one that works. And those memorizing exercises are wonderful. And there's another one that I've applied as well, is when you're trying to remember something, is with drawing doodles and like random drawings on one hand while you're studying, while you're reading, and I cannot emphasize how good that works. Like, if you would try to memorize my name, you could do what you suggested, which works perfectly. But another way is you can grab a pen and have a notebook next to you and just imagine you're writing my name, but like doodle it, not actually writing, but you're not even looking at it. You're just writing it over. And I have notebooks full of dark ink, just like scribbles of things that I've just memorized or learned usually. And that's another thing that I'm a proof that it works. I've used it, it works. And so, yeah.
So much. And it is almost like you're teaching your brain to come together, like, because that is kind of a mindless, just kind of creativity, just whatever you feel like doing, it comes while you're memorizing something. I'm so stealing that. No, I absolutely love that, especially like for my neurodiverse listeners, such as myself. What I have learned, that even if I want to do it, we tend to be procrastinators because we get like decision paralysis or executive decision. We want to do it, but then it seems so overwhelming that it's better not to start it. And so what I have learned to do is I have a mantra that says to me, when you say this, you just have to sit down and focus on the first thing, the priority. And I always have people prioritize A, B, and C. A's are the things that are time constrained, have to be done today. B's need to be done in the next week. And C's are whenever you get a chance and it's something you want to do, then you can do the C's. So by categorizing it, it's like, okay, I know I have to do the A's. So my mantra is, and my husband knows this, we'll be talking and I'll be all over squirreling, and I'll say, okay, hocus pocus focus, Maureen, hocus pocus focus. And that is my reminder to me, you can do this. Just sit down and focus on this one thing, because when I think of all the things I have to do, I don't want to do anything. And so I think mantras or reminders to ourselves. I also am the queen of sticky notes. This is my best friend. My husband, when he was working in the office, now in Texas, he's remote. In the office, I guess one of their clients brought in these sticky pads and gave them out. You know how that people, advertise their things or whatever. And it's like this endless stack of these. And so I keep asking my husband, I'm like, okay, I'm done with mine. Do I have more? And so here's more and more and more. And there's like this endless supply. And I said, where are you keeping this? Do you have like a closet full of sticky notes? But I don't, all I use is a notebook and a sticky pad. I'm not a journaler. I'm not a day timer. I'm not I can't, it has to be immediate and quick in front of me. So what is your method of retaining information or reminding yourself of things that you need to do?
I'm a calendar person for everything.
Love it.
I was not a calendar person at all. I thought I could do everything inside my head and handle all of my responsibilities by memorizing everything I had to do, until there was too many things in my head to like remember, like you said. So I'm a calendar person in the sense that I do it, but I organize my day into parts. I've always done that. I divide my day into before lunch, after lunch, and then after, like, in the evening. And so by doing that, what I've been able to do is just sometimes in the morning, I'm like, I'm going to do tomorrow morning is just for myself. I'm going to wake up a little bit later. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to just work on myself. So that's one part. And then I divide the second part of the day, and I'm like, okay, this part of the day is going to be to focus on my to-do list that I also put on my calendar. And I say, okay, you have to do this on your website. You have to do this with this client. You have to do this for classes. And I do that part there. And then the evening, I'm like, okay, I'm going to do one more task, and then I'm going to eat dinner and go to sleep because I'm tired because it's been a long day. And so I really like to divide my days into parts because in my case, if I just say I have 5 things to do today, if I don't know when I'm supposed to get started, I don't get started at all. And like you said, sometimes it's just because of that overwhelming feeling of saying, oh, if I get started, then I'm gonna have to do this for X amount of hours, and I don't feel like it, like it's been a long day, and of course that happens a lot. That happens, and for me and that's when I do the little why did I want to do this in the first place? Why was I going to do this class or this? Why was I going to edit my website? And sometimes I even find things on my to-do list and I'm like, do I really need to do this today? Like, what about if I prioritize something else? And then I can do that tomorrow, and my life is going to be fine. There's not going to be a tremendous explosion that's going to happen. I didn't do it. And I've had to learn to do that because I was a complete like perfectionist. Like everything had to be done the day I got the task. I would do everything. And that was great for like time planning, great in one part, but the bad side to that was that it was very overwhelming when I didn't get things done.
Yeah. And you never do. You never get it done because stuff keeps coming in. And I love, listeners, that she said this, and everyone has a different method. And the whole point is find what works for you. If something doesn't work, then try something else. But I love that Raquel's method of chunking it up and categorizing it. I mean, you have boxes. You're like before, morning, and then before lunch, and then after. I freaking love that. And I love that you have a quit time, because I'm a firm believer, nothing, unless you're a brain surgeon, cannot wait until tomorrow at 8 a.m. And I tell my clients, when do you stop working, especially entrepreneurs and business owners? Well, I don't. I'm taking texts and emails till midnight. And I'm like, nope. Nope. We're going to stop that. You're going to put your phone in the other room. You have to have a quit time, just as if you were going into an office and clocking into a time clock. So, well, this has been absolutely fantastic. So tell listeners where they can find you. Tell them about your where they can find your podcast so they can listen to it, which I think is fantastic, Unwiring Minds. So give us all of the details and what you've got going on.
Yes, absolutely. If they want to find Unwiring Minds as an organization, they're on our website, unwiringminds.com. They have access to tons of articles about so many different things regarding whether it's the mind, psychological disorders, or really anything that you can think of that's related to the mind, body, health. We have it on there. We also have our podcast on there, so you can quickly access Spotify, Apple Music, everything, like all the fun places that you can find podcasts on. We have all the links on there as well. And actually in a couple months, we're releasing a set of courses that are going to be very easy to follow, quick courses to learn about basic things, but also very interesting and harder to understand concepts about both neurology and psychology mixed individually. Very interesting. And I'm very excited for that launch because I feel like there's so much that we have to learn. And so these courses are more specific. And so you get to spend more time sort of diving into that. And of course, we have also just social media that you can just send us a DM if you have any questions, you want to just talk, you want to know, hey, like I have a question, like why does this happen like this? I'm happy to get myself or someone that may have the answer to tell you and help you out as well. But for me individually, you can also reach me on LinkedIn. LinkedIn's like the quick and easy one because I see a message and I always go like fast to answer because I love talking to people and get to network with everybody everywhere. And then that's my full name, Raquel Paz Bergia. And so really anything, and of course by email too. And my email is my full name, raquelpazbergia@gmail.com. So my name is long, but if you know how to spell my name, @gmail.com makes it
We'll
easy.
have it all so they can just click it and go. But I just think you're absolutely fantastic. And what I normally do to end the podcast is I have a segment that's called "What Can You Do for Me?" and it's like weird services that people offer, and that's a fun segment. But for some reason, today I'm going to change it up a little bit, and we are going to go with meaningless information I must share. So I would love to know. I'm going to give you one that I just learned yesterday, and then we'll see what Raquel has, because I hate springing stuff on people spur of the moment. They're like, say that memory thing. I got to pull something from the vault right now, Maureen. What are you doing? So my meaningless information I must share is yesterday I learned that back in the early days when they would serve ice cream in a ice cream parlor, you know, that clear glass with the little stand on it, that was called a penny lick, which I thought was absolutely an interesting name. Who came up with a penny lick? It must have been a penny to buy ice cream, maybe a scoop, and maybe they licked it clean. That's the only, there's my word association. See how I do that. So that was called a penny lick. However, at the 1908 St. Louis World's Fair, there was a guy that was selling ice cream in the penny lick, and his next door neighbor was selling waffles. And so his next door neighbor decided, what if we put your ice cream in my waffle? And that is how the ice cream cone came to be.
Wow.
I'm going to do a thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. So there's my meme for today. What do you have for me, Raquel?
Something extremely random that is exactly a meme is that while we sleep, we eat 8 spiders a year. That's a reality.
Oh, no.
Isn't that horrible? But the thing is, who is making the research study to do that? Like,
how do you know?
Yes. Like, who is measuring the amount of spiders are going in? And it's just, I have a panic for spiders. I have a phobia. Like, I can't handle spiders. I haven't handled them for a few years, and I've tried, and I'm going to therapy for it to figure it out. But the thing is, who sits down and and does a case study on how many spiders we eat a year?
And I thought don't I have to see a spider in my bedroom to even think that? I mean, and I do have OCD as far as cleanliness goes. So I'm that person that I literally clean the dog hair off my couches 3 times a day. I'm sort of obsessed with clean toilets. So my husband, it cracks him up. I'm like, every time you go to the bathroom, you need to put some Comet in there and you need to scrub it. That's all there's to it. I don't care, pee, number 2, whatever. So that thought of that there's a spider lingering in my room just waiting to crawl in my mouth while I'm sleeping really kind of freaks me out.
It's horrible. But the thing is, the thing that made me realize it's going to be okay is I've never thought of it's just a random. I've never woken up with a weird taste in my mouth thinking, oh, it's a spider.
Let's leave it at I never knew I ate spiders a year, and we're gonna leave it at and I don't want to know. I don't
want to know.
I know.
But I just thought that was the random fact and super meaningless thing to know.
Fantastic for our segment. Well, thank you, my beautiful friend Raquel. You were amazing, guys. I'll put all of her information in the show notes, both on YouTube and in the Apple podcast as well. You're just fantastic. Thank you for gifting us the hour of your life that you'll never get back, and I think that's more priceless than any money or valuable thing in this world. So thank you, my love.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for tuning in to the I Never Knew podcast. If you found today's episode inspiring and educational, please be sure to follow, subscribe, and spread the word. The more people that join the Inc. community, the more it can develop and influence others as we work together for a healthier and brighter future. Until next time.